This is Steve Vanderbilt at RegimeChange.org. Today I want to talk about something, actually I want to talk about someone that I never met. I don't even know anybody that knows. But I've been reading about him for the last almost 24 hours. The man's name is Joseph Stack. You know, that's the man who flew his airplane, into the IRS building in Austin, committing suicide, and unfortunately taking another person with him. But I've been sitting back and I've been watching. I read Mr. Stack's document. I read his letter that he posted. And I sat back and I watched. I wanted to see how the mainstream media and the political groups would spin this. I wanted to see if they would come with a rational level of thought, or if they would be dramatic and sensationalize things and try to pick traction on this as a great cause event to take something away from someone else. After reading Mr. Stack's letter, one thing became very sad to me. I became very sad, actually, and deeply troubled, because I can imagine many people that I've talked to over the years, and actually many of you that sent me email. I can imagine us all saying similar things as Mr. Stack. Really, this seems to me to be more a last act of defiance from a man pushed way past his breaking point. And a lot of the things he said makes sense. It's almost speaking the truth. But what's interesting here is his letter has been stated by some people as a manifesto. Well, the definition of a manifesto is a public declaration of principles and intentions. His letter wasn't a manifesto. If you want to read it, it's posted in our archives, and it's also posted on our Facebook page, by the way. Another place called it a diatribe. Well, a diatribe is a prolonged discourse. Well, yeah, it was kind of long, but he was writing about his entire life. The other portion of a diatribe is a bitter and abusive speech. I didn't see anything abusive where he called anybody any undue names or anything really harassive. One outlet called it a screed, which was an interesting word. It's been so long since I heard the word screed that I actually had to go back in the dictionary and reconfirm what it was, which is something that doesn't happen with me very often. And a screed is a ranting piece of writing. Well, I'm sure a lot of us have ranted and raved before, but Mr. Stack's letter wasn't ranting. It had a tone of despair to it. I also noticed questions going back and forth on a mainstream media talking about a talking point. Is this terrorism or a criminal act? An act of terrorism or a criminal act? Neither. As I said before, when someone's pushed to the point where they feel they've lost everything, they have nothing to lose. And really what came to my mind as I was reading this is the imagery of, well, the imagery of Jewish prisoners being run into a trench naked by Nazi soldiers just to be shot. Now, why would that come to my mind? Well, ask yourself this question. If you were stripped naked of everything that you owned, and people around you had arms, and they were wanted to run you into a trench to shoot you, would you go? Or would you stand up and be defiant? Would you stand up and give them the finger, swear at them, throw feces at them, attack them? Well, sheep go peacefully to the slaughter. So it's obvious that Mr. Stack was not a sheep. And Mr. Stack chose not to run naked into that ditch. Now, I don't condone what he did, but I feel greatly saddened because I feel somehow that we have let people like Mr. Stack down. That we, the people, should be speaking about these talking points that Mr. Stack brought to the forefront. An unfair tax code, burdensome on the middle class, burdensome on entrepreneurs, which he was both. A system so corrupt that your elected official won't even listen to you when you have a complaint regarding the tax code. You see, last week I had the opportunity to go to a fundraiser, and I asked some questions. And I saw politicians turn white-faced and blank-eyed because they were uncomfortable with the questions they were being asked. So I can envision what Mr. Stack must have felt like, not being able to get questions answered or trying to get somebody to listen to his opinion. See, our elected officials are supposed to work for us. But as Mr. Stack pointed out, there are a great many of us that feel the government has become this great bureaucratic monster that is there to oppress us more than support us, to take from us more than to defend us. So before you go pointing fingers at Mr. Stack, mainstream media, realize that when you point a finger at someone else, you have several pointing back at you. And if you're watching this video, I ask you to remember the same thing too. Really look over everything. Place yourself in Mr. Stack's shoes and ask yourself, if I were about to lose everything, I lost my first wife, I lost my first business and my second, and I have a good life now, but because I hired someone and they didn't do their job right, I'm going to lose my house. I'm going to lose my plane. I'm likely going to lose my second wife and my stepdaughter. For when you're pushed too far, you have nothing to lose. Most people lose it. And that's the truth that we must all embrace. I'm encouraged that many people stepped up and saved their fellow man because Mr. Stack attacked an organization. But organizations are made up of people too. If you work for the IRS and you don't agree what the tax code is like and what it's doing, come back in a week to regimechange.org. We're about to change our face. We're going to bring some solutions out and some talking points. We've worked very hard the last month. And we want to help lead the way so people can get engaged and feel empowered. If you're a citizen or a politician, I ask you to come back. We're a grassroots organization that's trying to grow as quickly as possible to help fix the problems this nation has. But we need your help, and we need your input. For we, the people, are the government of this country, no matter how much the government wants to deny that fact. But for today, I'm Steve Vanderbilt for regimechange.org. Thank you.